The reports came out last night that there were more meetings by the ACC about Stanford and Cal and SMU, and that there's roadblocks. It's not as easy as it looks to just bring in 3 teams from other time zones to the ACC when you need a whole bunch of teams, 12 out of the 15 full voting member squads in the ACC to agree. It's not that easy. There's roadblocks. So I ask you this question. And feel free to tweet me your answer at Donnelly Sports. If it is not Stanford and Cal, and we can go ahead and assume it's not Notre Dame becoming a full-time member, is there anyone else? I would argue this. No. No, there is not.
I mean, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia.
I mean, sorry, anyone else that's semi-realistic.
Yes. I'm like, if that's the case.
I mean, if we're just picking anybody, let's get to discussions. Could we trim some fat off the back end of the ACC? I won't name names because that's mean, but hey.
Let's not mention Boston College.
Let's not. I mean, why would we say something like Syracuse? Why would we do that out loud?
No,
I honestly, like, of the teams that are out there available, I just, if it's not Stanford and Cal, no. Right? And even if you think like, oh, West Virginia is available, I really don't like. I think there's lines being drawn, and if you're in a Power 5 conference right now, or Power 4, if you're in a Power 4 conference right now, that's going to take a long time to get used to saying. By the way, I'm just now finally saying Los Angeles Chargers, and now you want me to start saying Power 4? It might never happen. The Washington Commanders took me forever to get used to saying that. I had just gotten used to Washington football team.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to go Power 4 on me? If you are a Power 4 conference team, I think you're kind of drawing your lines and not skipping across. So I just don't think there is. So think about this. Think about what the ACC just did, right? In the last, 5 years. They're now the smallest power conference. Right? Obviously, the Pac-4 is the Pac-4, but that's not a full conference anymore. They're gone. They're done. We already read their eulogy. The ACC is the smallest Power 4 conference, and there's no option to get better. There's no way that the conference can control their conference's improvement. I want you to think about it like this. The only thing the ACC can do to get better, to build more leverage, to create more value in the Atlantic Coast Conference, is hope for individual improvement amongst teams. Right? Like if Miami gets back to being a national title contender, if State makes it to a college football playoff, I'm just spitballing here, right? If Virginia Tech somehow gets back to having a top 5 defense in the entire country every single year like they did under Bud Foster, if Mike Elko not only turns Duke around, but then stays at Duke and passes up all the offers that would come his way. Like, if those things happen, yes, the ACC can raise their profile. But think about where the Big Ten and the SEC are, because that's who the ACC is chasing. If every single team in the SEC gets a little bit worse from where they were last year, so every team gets worse, that conference has more power going into 2024 because they're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. Right? If the Big Ten had college football playoff appearance last year, they had all of these new things happening. They had stars, right? If the Big Ten has none of it, if they don't make the college football playoff next year, they are a better conference when it comes to money, media rights, when it comes to power, influence, leverage. They're a better conference going into 2024. Why? Because they're bringing in USC, they're bringing in UCLA, they're bringing in Washington, they're bringing in Oregon. They have controlled their future to the point where the on-field stuff doesn't matter as much for them. It matters, right? Yes, like they're not going to – if Ohio State wins the national championship, that'll help out the Big Ten a bunch too. But even if that doesn't happen, even if they don't have the success on the field, if they get worse on the field, they'll get better in their standing in college football because of the decisions they've made over the past 2 off seasons to expand. Now think about it in the ACC's point of view. If every team in the ACC gets just a little bit worse in football,
yeah,
it's catastrophic. right? Because then it's another year without a college football playoff appearance. If Florida State and Clemson are both 4-2 through 6 games, sky is falling.
Yeah.
Because then your 2 college football playoff contenders, right? Your top 10 teams in the preseason coaches poll are now already pretty much eliminated, and it's halfway through the season. Big Ten does that. They're like, well, we'll just wait till USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon get here, and then we'll be back on top, right? If the SEC has all their best contenders, I don't know, they get jet lagged or something and they lose games they shouldn't. All right, we'll just wait for Texas and Oklahoma to get here, and we'll be fine. That's the safety net that the ACC doesn't have. And you can say, oh, the money this, the money that, you couldn't bring him in. How about this? Gene Smith, Ohio State athletic director, who, by the way, announced he's retiring soon, right? So he's about to be donezo, which might be the only opportunity you get to have one of these guys be completely honest, right? You need the lame duck, I don't care, that kind of laissez-faire attitude. So Gene Smith's talking to the media, and he explains how they worked with Fox to just get more money to afford Oregon and Washington.
It was not dilutive to us. So the original dollar figures that we had prior to Oregon and Washington coming in stayed the same for the institutions that were already in. Fox brought new money to the table for Oregon and for Washington that they provided. And I don't know the exact numbers. It's somewhere between 30 and 35 million. I just don't know what the exact number is. So it wasn't dilutive to us. So the long-term play is that hopefully when we go to negotiate the next deal, there's valuable inventory. So year 5 or 6, whenever, assuming as Tony goes to negotiate a new deal, you have Oregon and Washington in your portfolio.
They just gave them more money.
Yeah. And that's what helped drive the decision, because these schools didn't want to give up what they're going to be getting. So Fox is like, okay, we'll give more. Oh, you guys will give us more? Yeah, sure, let them in. So, yeah, who's actually controlling things? TV networks literally influenced this decision.
There's a great early Dave Chappelle stand-up bit where he's in the car with a buddy and a police officer. I forget the whole setup. And by the way, I'm not going to do like my Dave Chappelle impression, but I'm just making a reference here.
Was it Chip?
Probably Chip.
Yeah, Chip, don't do it.
Where, basically Chip looks at the police officer and just says, I didn't know I couldn't do that. and Dave, again, the way Dave Chappelle tells it is like, that's like mind blowing to him. Like, he never even thought to say that to a police officer, right? Like, say he was speeding, like, you're going 100 in a 45. I didn't know I couldn't do that. And it just changes everything, right? It's like, oh my gosh. I feel like the ACC is looking at, like, they're like, Big Ten, how did you afford these new teams? And they're like, we asked for more money. Meanwhile, the ACC is sitting there like, I didn't know you could do that. I never even thought that we could have just gone and asked for more money. Oh, we should have had Washington and Oregon. We could have asked for more money. And then Stanford and Cal would make sense. We'd have a West division, right? Everything changes. It's just the situation the ACC has put themselves in now is there is one very obvious trapdoor, right? There's one way to escape out of a bad situation. Your teams are going to have to play a lot better football.
That's it.
That's and you never want to have all of your eggs in one basket when it comes to, like, how can I improve things, right? You want to say, like, well, if we play really well this year, if our teams level up, that'll help. But if not, we have this other thing going where we're expanding to this market, and if that doesn't do exactly what we should, then we're over here doing this other thing, and we're doing that other thing, and eventually it might end up working out for you. One of the 4 ways might be the golden goose that helps you out. But right now, the ACC, are they going to be better or worse in 2024 as a conference, as the health of a conference? Well, we got to wait to see how they play. Every other the Big Ten, the SEC, they're going to be better and more healthy as a conference in 2024 than they are now.